Good evening. This is Tyler Royce from the Tyler the Weatherman Connecticut Forecast Center website with your evening update. And first, we are taking a look at basically the eastern region of the United States from the National Weather Service. And what we're looking at is the current watches and warnings for everything out there. But what I really want to take a look at is the darkest reds here that I'm highlighting with my cursor down along the North Carolina, South Carolina, and even the purples heading up into the Delmarva Peninsula and the southern parts of the Mid-Atlantic. This is all our tropical and hurricane watches and warnings. The red here that my cursor is playing around in is our hurricane warning. The dark red where my cursor is in South Carolina and out in the Atlantic, that's our tropical storm warning. And finally, the purple here is our tropical storm watch, which is for basically all of southern New Jersey, all of Delaware, going into southern parts of Maryland and into Philadelphia. So Philadelphia is under hurricane watch right now. A tropical storm watch is in effect for parts just west and north of Philadelphia and DC to Baltimore. So taking a look at Irene as of 8 p.m. It is still a Category 3, a moderate Category 3, and its pressure is still lowering. It's 946, so it's really a dangerous storm out there. And you can take a look how big it is as of 8 p.m. It's just this massive storm with an eye. You can basically see the red colors highlighted by this circling the eye. And if we can increase the zoom here, I can show you basically where my cursor is. We can stop it here. Where my cursor is basically the eye of the storm, where the conditions are calm, and just see how massive this storm is. And see the lighter greens, yellows, and reds. This is where it's all precipitating, the convection. This is what's heading towards us. It is a massive storm, and it's going to take a while to decrease in intensity as it heads towards us. The National Weather Service says it will intensify a little bit more and become a strong Category 3 by Friday, around Friday night, Saturday morning, on the midnight time frame, and Saturday afternoon, and it will strengthen to a very strong Category 3. But as it encounters some southwesterly shear, change in wind direction as it heads into the mid-Atlantic, it will start to slowly decrease, especially when it's over land. And I'll talk about its current track right now, but it's massive. Right now we are getting a more better idea of where it's going, but it doesn't matter if it's off by 50 miles or so. It's still a massive storm that's going to bring lots of damage to the East Coast, into southern New England, into New England. But anyways, let's take a look at the track. Right now it is a Category 3 down here just north of the Bermuda Islands. And all these model lines here that we see is the computer models track of the storm. And basically we can say with a little bit more precision that the Outer Banks will be spared the eye of the storm per se, but it is just to the west of the Outer Banks. If we zoom in here, northeast of Wilmington, North Carolina, more towards Morehead City, Jacksonville, North Carolina, that will be seeing the first landfall as a Category 3, and then it heads up, basically kind of parallel I-95 towards the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area, paralleling I-13 as it heads into Maryland, Delaware, and into New Jersey. And by the time it reaches Delaware and New Jersey, it should be a Category 2 storm, weakening to a Category 1. By Sunday afternoon, it is a strong Category 1 as it is in the midsection of New Jersey. And by the time it reaches Connecticut, it will be Sunday evening around the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock hour, and it should be a moderate to strong Category 1 as it continues to weaken, but it's going to be a massive storm here. So basically, let's take a look at some of the computer models here. And this is, I'll zoom out here, this is the GFS model, actually sorry, the European model. And if we take a look starting at 12 tomorrow morning, we basically be seeing that the hurricane is north of the Bermuda Islands, and as it progresses, it kind of goes through the inland part. This is according to the European, but if you take a closer look at the northeast and mid-Atlantic, we basically follow the NAM model here. And what we basically see, starting off at 6 p.m., we kind of have that cold front that's been pushing through, dumping some rain, so don't worry about anything. But let's just track this. So Friday is good, and as we begin into Saturday, the outer fringes start to come in Saturday night into Sunday as the storm starts to come in. And we basically see, as of Sunday morning, we basically see the outer band start to really come into the mid-Atlantic regions, and down here in the bottom left corner, this is our winds, and they start to pick up here, and this is in knots. As we progress throughout the day and go towards Sunday, we basically see the winds start to pick up, the heavy precipitation starts to pick up as we go into the afternoon. As we go towards the evening hours, we basically see the maximum winds to come, the landfall of the Hurricane Irene. And if we go to and what this in the bottom right hand corner is the precipitation amount, which is showing over 4 inches of rain that can be shown here, falling over the mid-Atlantic into southern New England. The models are predicting over 4 inches, and what the problem is that this is going to be a tropical rain, and the models cannot handle that as well. So it's probably going to be double this amount. So 8 inches, I would not be surprised to be seeing across the mid-Atlantic region. And taking a look at another model just for comparison, we start off tonight at the 6Z hour, 0Z hour, and you just progress through as Irene comes up the coast, and we basically see the outer bands start to come in, and according to the GFS, Saturday afternoon, and they kind of continue on until it reaches we are in full swing of the precipitation Sunday morning, and basically it makes landfall through here Sunday evening. The GFS kind of is a little slower, bringing the hurricane through a little bit bigger in perspective, while the NAM is slower and smaller in size with the precipitation and all. And going through, it basically shows, if you look at the bottom right panel where my cursor is, over 4 inches of rain, 5 inches of rain. So that's another 8 to 10 inches of rain out there. And so I really want to go to paint right now, and I want to paint a picture of the computer models, what they're showing right now. And what they're showing is basically, I could get my lines ready, a line from here to here. I would suspect Irene Center to be going over. I am still sticking with my the earlier projection from earlier today of Irene going just about through here. So anyone to the, I'll do that in red, and my brush will be in yellow. Anyone in this section, where I'm just going to be scribbling, will have to be dealing with the heavy rains, the heavy winds, and the possible of a tornado, whereas this section will just be dealing with the heavy rains and the heavy winds. And just to give a good pinpoint of what we could expect is that sustained winds should be on the order of 28 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour. And you say, well, that's really nothing. But the real strong winds are near the center of that eye. So the strong winds are around that eye wall. So that's where the strongest winds are going to be. But with the sustained winds, we do not talk about the wind gusts, which could be 65 miles per hour to 75 to 80. So it's going to be kind of weak category 1 according to the models. I'm still going to go with the idea that it could be a moderate to weak category 1 as it goes through Connecticut, especially along the shoreline. The strongest winds, the last landfall, it will be pushing through Connecticut around the evening time period, 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. We should see the worst of the storm being pushed through. And so that by Monday morning, it'll be nice and clear out there. And now we could start to take a look at the damage and the causes. And so once again, I'll clear all my scribbles out. Anyone who is living across the shoreline area, if you have a mandatory evacuation, please heed the warning. We do not want anyone to be drowning or houses be swept away and someone in it. And if you do lose power and you need to go to emergency shelter, please do. Any emergency evacuations that do happen, please follow them. This is a dangerous storm, and it doesn't matter where the eye really tracks. This is a huge storm, as I said. We need to all be precautious. Everyone in the state will be affected by this some way, somehow, with wind damage, major flooding, and possibly tornadic damage, especially in the eastern half of the state, as that first quadrant of the storm pushes through towards into Massachusetts. I'll have another update tomorrow morning. Have a good evening, one. Please start preparing for the worst for this storm. Have a good evening.